Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's a Tuesday morning. I'm in Kansas City right now. Tuesday morning, January 21st. Got a little snowflake going on here, but I don't think it's supposed to amount to anything today. So, I don't know. I'm getting out of here today anyway. I got a load I got to go pick up here in a couple minutes. So, going to ride over there. Wanted to do a quick video today of a review of this truck I'm in. I have a 2018 Peterbilt 579. It had 286,000 miles on it when I picked it up, and we're 38,000 miles in 3 months, so I figured it was a good time to do a review. I've took it around the block a few times. I've kind of figured out what I like, what I don't like. I don't know. We'll see how it shakes out for the rest of the term, but I have this leased through a third-party company that they called me the other day. They wanted to know if I was going to keep the truck after the year's up. I got an option to release it or lease it again or release it, I guess. Let it go. But the buyout on it is not cheap, so probably won't be taking that as an option, I know for sure. As of right now, I told them I hadn't made up my mind whether I'd lease it again or not. You know, just don't want to show my hand this early, even if I do or if I don't. You know, we're 3 months in on a 12-month deal, so I don't know. It is not the Ultra Loft. It is, you know, just regular 579. It's like a 3/4 roof with, you know, the fairing on top. One of the things I'll get to here in a second, talk about that. So a few of the specs on the truck: 2018 579 MX-13 engine, rated at 455 horse. It has an Eaton Ultra Shift in it, or whatever this particular one's called. I think it is an Ultra Shift. It is a 10-speed. And it's got 285 rears on it, and it is a 6x4 truck, meaning it does have a locking rear differential. One thing that's not truck specific, this truck came with a brand new tires all the way around. It's got a set of Yokohamas on it, given they're brand new tires, but I've been pretty impressed with them so far. For what you get those for, they're kind of a mid-range price tire. I've been pretty impressed with them. They're closed shoulder, but in the snow and ice, they seem to be doing pretty good. So I do like that. First truck I've ever had with Yokohamas on it. I would say they're pretty decent so far from what I've seen. So some of the pros, some of the cons of this truck. You know, overall, I would give the truck, I'll just go ahead and give it away. Overall, I'd give the truck about a C, maybe a C minus. I mean, you know, stay tuned and I'll tell you why. But overall, I'm under-impressed. A couple things I do like. I'll go over the pros first. I don't, you know, I'm trying to stay truck specific to, you know, things. And I'll be honest with you, this truck is spec'd as, you know, it's got a few options on it, but not a lot. I don't know what fleet this came out of. It's definitely like fleet spec'd. But, you know, it's kind of a mediocre package on it. It doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles. If I was going to buy the truck, I would definitely look and see what fleet it came out of, but I really didn't push it, to be honest with you. I just kind of, you know, kind of took the deal I had at the moment. And, yeah, so the pros, one thing I really do like on this truck, and to put it out there, my last truck was a Freightliner Cascadia 2013. You know, the truck I owned before that was a Kenworth T600. I've driven International Pro Stars. I've driven the T680. I've driven, not the new Mac, but I drove the Mac Pinnacle for a while. I've been in a lot of different Volvos. So I kind of, you know, I've been around a lot of different trucks, driven a lot of different trucks. They've all got their goods and bads. I have not found the perfect truck yet. But one of the things I do like about this truck is it does have bigger side mirrors on it. Coming out of that Cascadia, like the side mirrors on a Cascadia are really small to me. And, you know, for the most part, that does not, you know, hinder visibility. But sometimes it is nice to have a bigger, you know, picture of what you're seeing, you know. It just is. So, I would put that as a pro. I do like the bigger mirrors. They're almost kind of like a Volvo size mirror, you know. They're, you know, they're just bigger. It's better. And, the Jake brake on this truck, I really like the Jake brake on this truck. It's a 3-stage Jake brake, and I'm really impressed in the difference between the 3 stages. You know, stage 1 is barely even a Jake brake, and you know, it's nice for when you're, you know, cruising empty or bobtail. It doesn't, you know, try to throw you through the windshield. Stage 2 is a nice step up. Stage 2 will definitely hold your weight going down a hill, and stage 3 will really hold you back. You know, when I go down a actual mountain, you know, I don't like tapping the brake or having to, you know, even use the brake. I like to let the Jake brake do its job, put it in the proper gear, let it do its thing. I'm really impressed with it on that level. The 3-stage or the 3rd, you know, high stage of the Jake brake is really effective. That is that's a big plus, because when I started out driving a truck, the first truck I had didn't have a Jake brake, and you know, when you learn on a truck with no Jake brake, you really appreciate a Jake brake. So the next thing I like about this truck is the pre-trip button. It's really nice. You know, you turn the truck or the key on, you hit the pre-trip button, and then it cycles from, you know, bright lights to dim lights every 10 seconds. The headlights will go bright to dim. Your marker lights will go from just being marker lights to like your hazards are on or flashers are on, and it cycles every 10 seconds. So as you walk around the truck, you know, and you're looking at things, you're, you know, checking your tires or whatever, you know, it gives it a chance to, you know, you can see that the light blinks, you can see the lights on, which I really like, because if you just have a normal, you know, if your truck doesn't have that and you just hit the flashers, you don't know if the parking lights are working unless you come back and turn off the flashers and then walk around it again. And also, the key thing that I like about it is it on the back of the, you know, on the brake situation, it goes from flashers to brake lights every 10 seconds. You know, if you don't have that, when you do your pre-trip, like, unless you put a stick or a brick on the brake pedal to know that you have brake lights, you don't know that you have brake lights. And, you know, that's pretty handy to have, to know, you know, it gives you a full spectrum of your lights, basically, in one walk around. So I really like that. As far as the ride goes, it's a really good riding truck. It's got a pretty smooth ride to it, I'll give it that. The steering is really smooth. I like the response of the steering. For a truck with airbags on the front, it really drives a straight line. I know when the first truck I had that had airbags on the front suspension, it felt like I was chasing the truck all the time. You know, you hit a bump and it would, you know, kind of veer to that side. Not as, you know, it was not as stiff as a spring ride truck, but this one is a good balance between stiffness and, you know, ride quality. So I give it to them on that. You know, they've really handled that well. The truck seems to be heavy towards the front for some reason, which surprises me, because it has, you know, a 13-liter engine, and that engine block is like some sort of graphite composite or something, so it's supposed to be really lightweight, but it seems like the truck's always heavy on the front. The fuel tanks are right, you know, they're behind, like you fuel it from behind the sleeper, so they're way back. I don't know what makes it so heavy up toward the front. I haven't figured that out yet, but overall, not bad. I mean, I can still get it to work and balance everything out, but just a little confused on that sometimes. So, I kind of like how everything's set up for the driver. All the buttons are pretty convenient. This one does not have anything on the steering wheel as far as buttons, and that really annoys me. In this day and age, I feel like every truck should have, your cruise control and your everything on the steering wheel. This one is like beside the stereo, so that's a little inconvenient. When you're driving, you don't want to be reaching down and having to, after a couple weeks, you get the memory of it, the muscle memory. I just reach out and punch it. I know where it's at. But one thing I don't like is the cruise control on off is right near the fan switch. So there are times when I do turn on the fan, and I think I turned on the cruise. That's a little annoying. But having a fan switch, to me, is a plus. When it's hot out and you're doing rolling hills, some pretty steep rolling hills, it's nice to have that fan switch. That way you can cool the truck better going down the hill. That way when you get back to the uphill, when you're trying to pull, your fan's not kicking on. So I do like that. I haven't had a truck with a fan switch in quite a while. I think my T600, it was a 07. I think that was the last truck I had with a fan switch in it. So I do like that. So that's the things I like specifically about this truck. I do like the folding top bunk in the back. It takes a little getting used to because I leave the top bunk up all the time. I don't like raising up in the middle of the night and slamming my face into a bunk. I know a lot of guys leave it down for storage, but I sit on the bunk a lot, and I just don't like having that like right there, So it folds up halfway instead of the whole bunk folding up as one piece. It does a thing like, I'm trying to show you my hand here. The front part of the bunk folds up and makes like an L shape, which is really good for storage because it holds everything in. I mean, you only get half the bunk for storage, but it does hold it in really good. And then whenever I need something, I can fold that down and pull whatever I need forward, So I do like the folding bunk. It does take a little getting used to, but it does allow you to sit on the bed without having that bunk right there in your way. So I'm going to rate that as a pro. Overall, I like having it. But let's get on to the cons now. Those are things that, they're not necessarily deal breakers. If they are a deal breaker, I will let you know. But there is a lot of cons in this truck as far as, it having 325,000 miles on it. As far as the first con is the fit and finish of the truck. I feel like the dash, the steering column, the seats, all feel cheap. Just the rattles in this truck drive me crazy. The steering column, I've got stuff wedged in between the plastic, and I've got tape on it, and it still finds a way to vibrate. And I asked another driver that had one of these trucks about it, and he said his does the same exact thing. He's like, I've got 2 rolls of electrical tape on mine, and you can hear it. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can hear that. That's just me pushing on it a little bit, So imagine going down the road. It's just nonstop. That is a big one to me. I feel like Peterbilt, is known for quality, but I feel like this fleet trucks that they're putting out, they're trying to gain some market share with all these fleet trucks, and I feel like maybe they're letting the brand go a little bit on this. Like right now, whenever I pull my parking brake, the piece of plastic that goes around that wants to pop loose every time I pop that. So I have to pop it back in. I'm going to end up putting some super glue on that or something. I don't know. It's so annoying. Little things like that really wear on me. So fit and finish would be a big one on the cons. Another one is it's not an integrated sleeper. So if you get the Ultra Loft, it's a sleeper truck made all together. I hate these trucks that are, it's basically a day cab with a sleeper added onto it. I don't know if you can see this, this ring right here. This is where they cut the back out of the truck and add the sleeper onto it. You pull this down, there's the gap. There's the gap between, where it should be, and they got a big rubber piece in here to help hold the temperature, and, they got this Velcro, and I will say the Velcro stays on there pretty good. I really haven't had much trouble with it coming off. But yeah, it's just, if you're a tall guy like me, I've been in this truck 3 months, and about once a week I still hit my head on that thing. And there's a step down, or there's like, not really a step down, but about the size of this thing here on the floor, and it's covered in carpet and all, but it's, you got to step over it, and that's annoying. And they got a carpet pad back there in these trucks. Not crazy about that either. I got like a welcome mat on it because I'm just like, and I don't wear my shoes back there, but you just track stuff back and forth, you're gonna do it. Another one back there in the bunk that I hate is I call it counter space. There's nowhere to set anything. There's one little, yeah, it's pretty small. Sorry about that, I got a call. But, yeah, it's very small, and I try to cook a lot in the truck. And, yeah, there's enough room there for a hot plate, and that's about it. So it kind of gets annoying, not having any space back there. So, those are really my big beefs. The fit and finish. The sleeper's kind of set up a little wonky, as far as where your cabinets are and your refrigerator. I can deal with all that. The biggest deal breaker with this truck, by far the reason I personally will not extend the lease on this truck. I just can't deal with it. It's the transmission in this truck. The auto shift between the Eaton and the MX-13 and the paccar situation, and I experienced this in the T680 I drove also. It's like they don't communicate. The engine doesn't know what the transmission's doing. The transmission doesn't know what the engine's doing. You put it in gear, and it's like they're two different things. The prime example with this is back in like 2005 or 2006, I had a Volvo that was auto shift. It was an Eaton. It wasn't the iShift. It was an Eaton. And the engine and transmission, it was like the Eaton manual even talked about it, was, it was constantly adjusting to your load and the terrain. This thing, it doesn't know whether I'm bobtailing or I'm fully loaded. It does not make a difference. Very, very annoying. The big thing with it is, that gets me on it, is 7th gear. I'm going to say about 60% of the time I have to hit the shift up button to come out of 7th gear. It wants to hold 7th gear until 2300 RPMs. And it will literally flash a light on my dash that says, you over revved the truck. And I'm like, it's an auto shift. I don't choose when it shifts. So, I got a beef with that. And it does it bobtail. It does it fully loaded. I drove over here where I'm at now empty. It was doing it. I took it to Peterbilt like a week after I got the truck, and I said, can y'all check that transmission and make sure it doesn't have any kind of malfunction or something going on? Because, say you're rolling up, another scenario that kills me. If you're rolling up to a red light, it's red. You're coasting in on it. Say you're doing 10 miles an hour. it goes green. So you put the pedal down to engage it and get it going again. You can literally count to 4. Like slow 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. It'll finally catch a gear and go on. And it won't catch the right gear, I promise you. It'll be a gear too low. It'll be right at the top of its shift band. And I don't say RPM band or power band, because this truck says its power band is from 11 to like 1350 according to the TAC. So it typically wants to shift like 1,000 to 15, mostly 1700 RPMs. And this truck is supposed to make power at 1,000 RPMs. That's the big ploy of all these new engines. Low RPMs, high torque. At 1,000 RPMs, if you're even slightly loaded, it's not right. You should not lug an engine like that. And even if it's not bad on the engine, it's killing the rest of this truck. The vibration that this truck will go through in like 8th or 9th gear to hold 1,000, try to come up from 1,000 RPMs, it's not possible. It just sits there and shakes the truck. Like, it's embarrassing. It looks like you've like dumped the clutch or something, shaking so bad. And finally, like, I'll just reach down and downshift it, if it's doing that. But whenever you're like rolling into the red light and you accelerate, if you're already moving like that, it goes to a gear where it's already at 1,500 RPMs. Then you got to wait for it to shift again to the correct gear and start taking off. I like the truck overall. Probably would keep the truck. May even think about buying one of these in the future. Overall, not a bad setup. I'm averaging like 8.1 miles per gallon in the last month. Now that I've really got away from any kind of cruise control, it's went up significantly. I have been pulling a lot of light loads. When I was pulling heavier, I was more in like that middle 7 range. I was like 7.4 to 7.7 consistently. Pulling some lighter loads, getting away from cruise control, letting it just kind of coast to the top of the hill. I'm in the low 8s now, so like I said, I would keep this truck. I would not buy this truck with an auto shift in it. Just would not. I don't believe Paccar and Eaton even have each other's phone numbers. Like, it is so bad. It's like you went to one country and had them, build the transmission, and you went to another country and you told them you can't talk to each other, but I want you to build a powertrain that works together. It's like, it's really bad. And I've not experienced that with an Eaton in the past. Like I said, I had a 2007 T600 that was an auto shift. Eaton 10-speed. C15 Acer. It worked 10 times better than this combination does. And that was 12 years ago. Like, just amazing to me how bad it is. And like I said, that is a deal breaker for me, because it's just too dangerous. The transmission to engine combination, it's not consistent is the big thing. Like this morning, I go to I'm making a right hand turn out of a shipper, well, actually a receiver. I was making a right hand turn. There's a car probably, and I'm in an industrial park. The car's probably a half a mile away. They're maybe doing 40 miles an hour. I couldn't even attempt to pull out, because I knew as soon as I hit that accelerator pedal, I didn't know what I was going to get. Am I going to get full blast power, or am I going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, then get power? I really got a beef with that. Like, it's either all in or nothing, and I can't take that. It's horrible. This is the worst auto shift I've ever had at backing into a dock. I've tried everything. You know, slightly holding the brake. I turned the traction control off, the hill assist off. I've tried it all. There is no consistency to when this clutch will engage. And for that reason, I am out. I'm not knocking all auto shifts. I'm just saying, take a long test drive if you're going to buy a paccar engine with an Eaton transmission. Make sure it's a nice long test drive. Now, I did drive a 12-speed like this before. It was a loaner truck. This was, 4 or 5 years, probably about 2 or 3 years ago. And I did know the 12-speed that has the shifter up on the steering column like a Freightliner does. That 12-speed was better than this is. But I'm still saying, test it out. Make sure you do a long test drive on it. But anyway, guys, that's my 2 cents. I'm going to hop off here, done rambling. Just things to think about before you go out and, snatch up a 579 Peterbilt. Thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to share, like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think. Take care of each other out there. Later.